story today is a call story, one of being called by Jesus Christ to come into the ministry, to follow Him, to be part of the kingdom of God, which He is creating on earth, part of making the difference within this world. Jesus calls His disciples, He calls them where they're at, He calls them in the middle of work, He calls them in the midst of life itself. And if we go back to last week, and when we looked at 1 Corinthians, and we looked at what the call was looking like, Paul had gone to Corinth to start a new church. And Corinth itself divided into 3 different churches and began to celebrate their own gifts, their own ministries themselves, and kind of compete. And unfortunately, the Christian church has been like that ever since. Spreading out and differences in competition and not having the unity that Paul was so, and God was so much wanting for the people of God. And Paul, even when he wrote to the Corinthians, he even said, you are the church of God. He didn't say you were the Corinthian church. He said, you're the church of God. Basically, who happens to be in Corinth. And you've been called, and all these gifts that you have, the ministries really, are the ministries that have been given to you, that you do, and they're not for competition, they're to work together, because I've got a kingdom to build, and it's an important kingdom, and the world needs this kingdom. And it works so well with our passage today as we look back to that individual call, which is also part of our universal call. And it's a call of unity, it's a call of power, it's a call of ministry, it's a call to be the men and women of Christ. And as I was thinking towards this week and going over the president's speech, and in part of the speech, part of the inaugural speech, the president said, "There's no room for prejudice. The Bible tells us. How good and pleasant is it when God's people live together in unity. We must speak our minds openly, debate our disagreements honestly, but always pursue solidarity." And Jesus is going today, and he's calling out to these disciples not to be different churches and form different churches, but to come together and to follow Him the ministry to the world, to see what He is doing. And it says what He's doing, He's going out and He's healing the people, He's bringing the message. And of all places, and I think it's important that Matthew wants us to know that He's starting out in this land of darkness, Naphtali. It is a place that was part of northern Israel, the kingdom of Israel. One of the first places that was lost to the Israelites when the Assyrians came in and they defeated the Israelite army, and that was one of the first areas they occupied. And they took a lot of the citizens and they moved them out. It was their way of occupying the nation. They would move out anyone who might have had any power or any influence and move them to another part of the world, and then bring in someone from somewhere else. And it kept the occupied areas confused, it kept them ununited, it kept them fighting within themselves, and it was just a way of keeping power, secular power. And the Babylonians would turn around and do the same thing. So this area is kind of known, it was known in Judea as an area of darkness, an area that knew of God, knew of Yahweh, but that really didn't know it as well as maybe Judah. There were good Jews in this area. Of course, Jesus grew up in Galilee, but it was a challenging area. And Jesus starts His ministry in a challenging area. And doesn't that just fit perfectly? Because ministry, which is for all of us, we are all called to Christ's ministry. It's always a challenge. There is no perfect, easy world to do ministry in. And Jesus, He's in the land of Naphtali. He's into the darkness, and He's bringing the light. Isaiah said the light would come out of the darkness, and Christ has come out of this land. And we, the church, are supposed to come out of the darkness. We're supposed to be the ones to bring the light into the world, to show the difference of what Christ can make. And Jesus is walking along by the beach, and he sees these fishermen, and he calls them. And it's always an amazing story. I think they drop their nets, and they come to be part of his disciples. It's basically akin to they gave up their way of life. They gave up their good living. They walked away from their business. These are independent businessmen. They walked away from their business to follow Christ. It's an incredible example of discipleship and how important the call of Christ is on us. And most of us aren't called to literally walk away from how we make a living and to walk away from all that we have and all that we know and understand. Some people are, and their lives are completely changed. But regardless, when Christ calls, our lives are changed. If we will drop the nets, if we will walk away from the sea, if we will go to him, when he calls, life has changed. I'm reminded of when you're driving down the road and you're coming up over a hill, and all of a sudden there's a hitchhiker right there. And what if this hitchhiker is Christ? Are we going to pull over? Are we going to let him in the car? Because if we let Jesus in the car, if we let him into our lives, he's going to affect what happens. If we let Jesus into the car, if we let him into our lives, he's going to want to go somewhere maybe different than where we're going. He's going to want us to drive maybe to the next town, or maybe somewhere unfamiliar. He's going to affect the rest of our lives. I'd like to think that we're going to stop and pull over and let the Son of God in. I think we would all like to think that. But sometimes the challenge seems too great. The changing of life seems too much. And maybe we slow down, but we don't really want to let him in the car. Because when we answer the call of Jesus Christ, life changes. It's not so much like sometimes like we want this great, big, incredible feeling. Yes, that happens, but and there's moments of assurance when we meet God in the strangest places, in the strangest times when we need Him most. But we let God into our lives, life begins to change. And hopefully we never go back. Hopefully we're always moving forward, driving forward with Christ in us. Going to the next town, going down the road, going to the next people, becoming evangelists. And the disciples drop their nets and they don't even know where they're going, yet they follow this Christ. What a bold group of people. Christ calls bold people. Christ calls the disciples. But sometimes it seems like the church, the United Church, the universal church, if you will, has a different kind of Jesus waiting over the hill. Really a Jesus light. A Jesus who doesn't make any kind of demands on our life, who doesn't make any kind of demands on us, who just filled like Santa Claus, full of candies and good and grace, which is true, but it's only part of it. For when Christ comes calling, Christ has expectations, because Christ is building a world within the world that we have. Christ is building a kingdom within the kingdom of man. Christ is making a difference, and He's calling us to go with Him and make a difference with Him. And life changes. I think, if you will, if you came up over the hill and you saw, does anyone remember Pee Wee Herman from the 80s? Okay. He was a weird, thank you.
We've tried to forget.
Yeah. He was a strange comedian. Kind of had this innocent little boy routine that thought the whole world just really was just sunshine and butterflies, and just kind of bopped along, and somehow his comedy was wrapped up in that. And when you looked at Pee Wee, you thought, well, there's a guy that doesn't have a grasp of the real world. And I have to admit, I don't think I'd want to slow down and pick Pee Wee up. Really not let him into my life. But sometimes when we make Christ such a simple little figure, when we make Christ one of those that's almost like a Santa Claus that has no demand, that makes no changes, that will just kind of act as if Jesus was not with it enough to really know what life is like. As if Jesus really didn't know what it's like to drop your net and to walk away. As if Jesus didn't really know what it's like to go out and to evangelize and to talk to people about Jesus Christ. As if Jesus really didn't know what it was like to put yourself on the line for the love of God for the world. As if Jesus didn't know. That's not who Jesus is it? Jesus is the one who does know. Jesus is the one who has been there. Jesus has never called us to do anything he has not done himself. And more. And it's up to us to decide whether or not we're going to answer the call. Truly answer the call. Answer the call of the real Christ. The one who makes demands. The one who wants. Not demands out of a seeking of glory. God has his own glory and doesn't need to get it from us. No, God knows that we need. We need our ministries. We need to reach out. We need to touch. We need to give and to love and to be part of this whole salvation story. And we are called to be a part of it. And God will go forward one way or the other. You know, those two men and then later the other two, if they had said, no, man, this is a good day of fishing. I'm not leaving this net. This is a good catch. This is money, man. I can't leave it. He would have gone down and found some more. And maybe he did ask some guys down the road. And they said, no, we'll catch up with you later. But the disciples answered the call. We know their lives were changed forever. Never to be the same again. Most of us will never have such a drastic call. But the change that God wants in our heart is equally drastic. God is calling. Jesus was an interesting rabbi. A lot of, in those days, a well-known rabbi like Jesus would be someone that the young men who wanted to study the law and study the ways of God, they would make an application to study with the great rabbis. Jesus didn't take applications. He didn't wait for people to come to him. He went to them. He went to them where they worked. He went to them in their homes. He went to them in one town and then the next town. And our calling is exactly the same. Our calling is to take Christ and go to the next town. Our calling is to take Christ and go into work. Our calling is to take Christ and go to the coffee shop, go to the school, wherever it is that we live and function and do what it is that we do. We are to take Christ with us because the world is not going to see Jesus Christ if we don't show Jesus Christ. God is called to answer, to change our lives. But just like a father and a son sitting at a pool, the fishing poles, the line is in the water, and the father is showing the son how to fish, or showing the daughter how to fish. God the Father, Jesus Christ, sits with us and is showing us how to fish. How to fish for human beings. None of us are born evangelists. But God will show us. None of us are born fishers of men and women, but God will show us. Because the world is hungry for this catch. Just as you are, just as I am. The world is just as empty without Christ as we are. And the good news is that we have been given this beautiful task to tell the world about Jesus Christ, Son of God, the author of our salvation.